Not my problem. The cry of tyrants throughout the ages. Is President Trump rightly or wrongly labeled a tyrant? Throughout history, tyrants and authoritarian leaders have shown one consistent trait: a callous dismissal of the suffering of others. Whether they said it outright or acted it out through indifference, their message was clear: not my problem. It's a mindset that transcends time and geography, and while the words may change, the attitude remains. Today, we'll look at 10 examples of this kind of dismissiveness, spanning from royal courts to fascist regimes. And then we'll ask, can or should this kind of behavior be compared to President Donald Trump and his policies? Let's begin in 18th century France. Marie Antoinette, Queen of France during a time of economic crisis, is famously, though likely falsely, quoted as saying, "Let them eat cake," when told the peasants had no bread. Whether she said it or not, the phrase has become shorthand for a complete disconnect from the public's suffering. A queen insulated from reality, with no sense of responsibility to the people. Move forward to the 20th century, and we see this detachment take on more violent, devastating forms. Adolf Hitler led Germany into the most destructive war in human history. As defeat became inevitable, his concern turned not to the German people, but to his legacy. He told his officers that if Germany could not win, it deserved to be destroyed. No empathy, no responsibility. Just bitter ideology to the end. Joseph Stalin oversaw purges, show trials, and famines. Millions died, yet he expressed no remorse. He is attributed with saying, "The death of one man is a tragedy. The death of millions is a statistic." It was a chilling demonstration of how a leader could justify mass death through the lens of cold utilitarianism. Benito Mussolini, the founder of fascism, prioritized national glory over the welfare of his citizens. He suppressed dissent, crushed worker rights, and launched a brutal war in Ethiopia. Civilian suffering was simply the cost of empire building. In Southeast Asia, Pol Pot led Cambodia through a genocide that killed nearly 2 million people. His obsession with agrarian purity blinded him to suffering. He saw the deaths not as a problem, but as necessary cleansing. Even after his fall, he denied responsibility. Idi Amin of Uganda ruled with violence, cruelty, and absurd bravado. Thousands were killed under his rule. And yet, he laughed off criticism, often mocking Western journalists and making bizarre public claims, including that he had eaten more chicken than any man alive. He was a butcher with a grin. Francisco Franco ruled Spain for decades under a fascist regime that silenced dissent, executed opponents, and suppressed minority cultures. He spoke of preserving Spanish tradition, but at the cost of democracy and human rights. To him, repression wasn't a problem. It was a solution. Bashar al-Assad has overseen the brutal crackdown of Syria's civil uprising. Entire cities have been bombed, civilians gassed, and millions displaced. Yet Assad continues to deny wrongdoing, blaming terrorists and foreign conspiracies. Responsibility is always someone else's. Ferdinand Marcos ruled the Philippines with martial law. He silenced critics, enriched his family, and left the country in economic shambles. He painted himself as a protector while overseeing torture, disappearances, and rigged elections. And Leopold II of Belgium ran the Congo Free State like a private business. Rubber quotas were enforced through mutilation, rape, and terror. An estimated 10 million Congolese died. He claimed to bring civilization. But when confronted, he deflected, minimized, and delayed action. These leaders differ in ideology, time, and geography, but share a through line. When faced with human suffering, their response was simple: not my problem. So where does Donald Trump fit into this history? Critics argue that while Trump is no dictator, his rhetoric has echoed authoritarian patterns. During Hurricane Maria, his delayed response and dismissive tone toward Puerto Rico sparked outrage. After over 3,000 people died, Trump called the response an incredible, unsung success. During the COVID-19 pandemic, as the death toll rose, Trump was heard saying, "I take no responsibility at all." These moments, to many, sounded eerily familiar, not because of what he did, but because of what he didn't do. Express empathy or accountability. Trump also expressed admiration for strongmen, from Putin to Kim Jong-un. He praised their control, their toughness, and even wrote love letters with the North Korean leader. He called American generals dopes and babies, but rarely had criticism for dictators abroad. Then there's his claim. "I alone can fix it." It's the kind of statement that sounds less like a democratic leader and more like someone who sees institutions as barriers, not foundations. But let's be clear, Donald Trump did not run gulags. He did not oversee genocides. The American system, however strained, still had courts, elections, and journalism. He was impeached twice. He lost re-election. Those are not things tyrants typically allow. So no, Trump is not Stalin, or Hitler, or even Mussolini. But is it fair to study his rhetoric and attitudes through the lens of authoritarian history? Absolutely. Patterns matter. When a leader dismisses suffering, mocks the vulnerable, or seeks to consolidate power by undermining democratic norms, those are warning signs. They don't mean dictatorship is guaranteed, but history tells us that ignoring the early signs is how democracies fail. So what do you think? Are the echoes of past tyrants visible in modern politics? Or are these comparisons too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this history political deep dive valuable, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more. Stay informed, stay thoughtful, and always ask the hard questions. What stood out from crafting this piece was just how consistently authoritarian figures use indifference as a political tool, not always through violent acts, but often through emotional detachment, rhetorical minimization, or outsourcing blame. It reaffirmed how dangerous normalizing callousness can be, especially when it comes from powerful leaders. Also, the exercise reminded me that while historical comparisons must be made with care, exploring patterns of rhetoric and behavior, even across radically different contexts, is essential for civic awareness. It's not about equating, but about recognizing echoes before they grow louder.